Okay, welcome everybody. We are back at our college application boot camp, and we are on day three, and it's the time to really think about all of the brainstorming you've done, all of the work you've done with your activities lists, and do some more brainstorming now, if you haven't already, about what are some possible topics you'd like to explore in a personal statement? And you are not alone if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I really don't know what to put in there. And you feel like there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, or at least a good way to do it, right? And those writing demons are coming out saying, you're not worth it. You don't have anything good to write about. But um, each of us has our story. Each of us has our lived experience, and that's really all colleges are asking us to share. Where have you been in your life? What kind of work do you do? What kind of family do you have? What kind of academics excite you? What kind of sports excite you? What kind of art excites you? That's what they want to know. Who are you? What mistakes you've made? What challenges have you had? Um, they want to hear about that because they want to know what's the kind of person who's coming to our campus. They can't have everybody who is super confident. They need to have a mix of confident and less confident. They need to have a mix of sports and not sports. They need to have a mix of art and not art. They need to have a mix of science and not science. So it's about sort of finding a voice that you have. And for today, we don't need the best voice. We don't need the fifth draft version, right? We've been looking at some amazing essays. These essays didn't get to be amazing on the first try. They stunk on the first try. That's yeah, I mean, no worries. You just get it out and try to silence that inner critic. One one image that I like to remind myself of is that those little voices in our head that say, oh, that's not a good idea, or oh, somebody else has already written that, whatever it is, that's our bodyguard that will help us protect ourselves from harm, right? But this harm is not actually life or death. And so we can tell that, just imagine this like big bodyguard person who's all pumped up, and it's in there in your head saying, no, don't take a risk. Don't write about that vulnerable thing because they're going to find you out that you're an imposter. You can't do it. But actually, that big bodyguard is doing their job, and we can just say, okay, you know what? It's time to relax. Bodyguard, I've got this. You can be over there pumping up on something else, but on this essay writing about me and my journey and what I've done, I've got it. Yeah, it might not be perfect the first time, but nobody's as perfect the first time. Published authors write many, 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 many drafts of things before it gets out into the world. And that's what you're doing. So, one step at a time, you can do this. That's what we're focusing on today. So I'm going to start off with a very quick check into something doable and manageable, which is while everybody's getting settled, really quick check on what it looks like to take your BBs and turn them into your activities list. For some of you, you've seen some of these before, so I'm just going to flip through most of the slides very quickly. They're in the slide deck for people who are watching it after the fact, or if you're going back to this work, they're in there for you as reference, but we're not going to belabor that. We're going to get right into the personal statement work of choosing a topic, outlining, then clarifying or changing your topic, up-leveling your paragraphs, and making uncommon connections. We're going to use some video and tools from my guy Ethan Sawyer's college essay guy, Choose Your Own Adventure tool. And I want to confirm, feel free to put it in the chat. Has anybody tried to open any of those links, and do they go to College Essay Guy? I was just worried that they might not, because I am like one of his colleagues slash student people, and so I have an automatic into those. So if you're having trouble getting those, let me know. Otherwise, that's what we're going to be doing. And I'll show the videos on the screen anyway today. So that's what we're going to do. Any questions, thoughts before we launch into it? I'm hoping that we're going to have some, like I'll do like a mini lesson and then I'll send you off to work for a bit and then another mini lesson and send you off to work for a bit. So there'll be some good work time, but then also have a chunk of time where I'm conferencing with people. And I'm going to set up a room where you can come in, meet with me, or you can meet with each other. So, because you might be able to share with each other more easily, perhaps. So we're going to do that in a little bit too. All right, so we're going to quick check in about activities lists. Then we're spending the bulk of the time on personal statements and having some time to really get into the writing and get into some feedback. All right. Okay, here we go. Oh, by the way, it will be super helpful for you to have this slide set out with you. So you've got the screen and what's happening and you can hear my voice, but you also have the slide deck because each of these green sets of words with an underline is a link to part of the College Essay Guy Choose Your Own Adventure tool. And I think you would appreciate being able to see all of the writing below the video. So if you don't already have your slide deck out, you can spend the next little time doing that. Okay. All right. So quick, hands-on, practical, something you can always work on if you're feeling overwhelmed by your personal statement is your activities list. So you've got your BBs for your most important activities, but maybe for your less important activities, you've gone straight to this activity list. Okay, thank you, Delia. Appreciate that. I will address that. Okay, so let me just finish my statement, then I'll go back to that. So we're into activities lists. There's the Common App version where you get to put in 10 different things. And then there's the University of California one where you get to put in 20 different things. Do you have to put in 10? Do you have to put in 20? No, they're just giving you space to write the things that are the ways that you spend your time outside of school between 9th and 12th grade. And whatever you can fit, you can fit. And if you have 4 things or 3 things or 2 things, then great. But I have to believe that you're going to have more than 3 things because you've got things you do at home, things you do with friends, and things you do with yourself, even if they aren't organized by an outside organization. So I would expect at least 3 things, like some of you go to the gym regularly, right? That's something you do with your time. It isn't like somebody's telling you you have to go. It isn't sponsored by an organization, but it shows up on the activity list. Okay. So a reminder that if you're doing the University of California applications, I recommend once you've done your BBs for your big things, the next step is to go to the University of California description. Here is a slide that compares the UC version to the Common App version. UC, you get 350 characters. Common App, you get 150 characters. So you can see that this person who listed that they were a commission member in the county government said a lot of different things. Again, leading with verbs, bolded the verbs in this case, and I think that could work in the Common App. To then at a 347 characters, you notice that they put the character number there in their draft, which is super helpful. And then they went down to the Common App version, 148 characters. It's actually very different, right? They had to make some very, very different choices. But you can see how starting big, going too small is easier, right? You've got the big with the BBs, then less big with the UC, and even less big, if even smaller with the Common App. All right, and this is what the Common App spaces look like. We looked at that together in another one. And here are some example common activities list entries. They're here, and in the notes underneath the slide, there is a link to even more example Common App activity list entries if you'd like. Real quick, the tips for how you would do this is if you do have a BBs on the activity, look at the what I did section and the impact section and possibly other sections, right? Problems I solved, lessons I learned, but likely it's mostly those two, the what I did and the impact. Just lift right from there, and it's probably a matter of cutting, right? Let's see, the other things are pretty self-explanatory. The last thing I want to say is think smart about the organization name and the position description, because you can tell a lot about what you did just in those two things so that you can save space for the description by telling most of what you did in the organization name and the description. Like instead of saying member, if you did a particular role, like, treasurer or assistant to the captain or whatever it is, right? That you just be as specific as possible in your position description. And then I'll finally just reiterate that when you're doing this activities list, it can be really tempting to embellish, to say that you did more than you did. And I'm not saying to sell yourself short. Absolutely not. Do not sell yourself short. Definitely, this is an opportunity. It's uncomfortable to brag about what you've done, but it's an opportunity to say with confidence, this is what I've done. But I do not want you to exaggerate what you've done. It's really tempting, right? Because sometimes we look at these examples and it's like, I didn't, write 3 books before I applied to college, whatever it is. But they want you for you. And if, they do audits. So really don't lie for real. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to do this, a 10-minute period. I'm going to check in with people during this time as well. But I'd like you to take this moment to do a few, like we're practicing doing the Pomodoro technique where we set ourselves a SMART goal. We set our timer for 10 minutes and we see what we can get done in that 10 minutes. So your SMART goal might be to write UC or Common App descriptions of, 2 of your activities. It might be 1 of your activity if you know that you're very thoughtful and a slower processor, or it might be 5 of your activities. It depends on where you are. And if you've already done this and you're completely done with your activities list, please share it with me. And you could be working on resume or LinkedIn profile or other things. That would be the next step from there. Okay, so set yourself a goal. Feel free to chat me what your goal is. Chat me what your goal is, and then I'm going to set this timer. And here we go. Let me know if you have questions. Okay, that's the end of that 10 minutes. Reflect for yourself. What did you set as your goal? And how close did you come to meeting it? If you totally met it, then great. If you didn't meet it, think about, okay, well, next time I set myself a SMART goal, maybe I will keep the expectations high, keep the rigor high, but I'm going to reduce my expectations of myself. Over time, you will develop what you can actually accurately accomplish during a 10-minute chunk, a 15, 20-minute chunk. Um, and it's not something to beat yourself up about. It's just like, okay, that was some learning for next time. Um, Anybody have any reflections on that? Questions that came up while you were doing the activities list work? I liked the question that came in about whether you're supposed to count the spaces, and no, you don't need to count the spaces. And there are tools within all the software programs to count how many characters. It's usually under word count. So that's always a super happy tool. And it's important to keep track, right? To put where you are each time so that if you have to go away and come back, you'll remember where you were with characters. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go on but I'm happy to, I understand that people work on things while I'm talking about things. So I'll understand that, but I do hope that you will be tracking along with me, with the slides for today. And we're going to switch gears. So you might need to stand up and shake it out a little bit, and take a deep breath. And we're heading into our personal statement work. So I heard from a member that the green links are not working, that you have to sign in. So what I'll do is try to remember how for me to sign in. And you could try this if you want. And that could be a sign in for the College Essay Guy stuff. If you're watching this at home, contact me if you're wanting to give that a try. So if not, it's no problem. I'm totally going to cover it, and I can show it on the screen. It's just it's a handy resource to have afterwards. And it's so funny because I was like, this is amazing that he's letting kids access it just from Googling it, but it's because I was Googling for my computer. So okie doke. So here we go, heading into personal statement work. We yesterday worked on the different types of personal statements, and I talked about having a montage format or a narrative format. And you thought last night, probably, and this morning today, about what some potential topics might be. And you might have already selected a few or done a few different outlines. From this group who's here with me, I didn't get any pings that I should be looking at different outlines. So if I missed that, I'm really sorry, and I'd be glad for you to contact me with them. I'm going to check in with each of you today about that when we have our independent work time. And so take these next little mini lectures, mini lessons as appropriate for you, and trust that you'll get there, okay, wherever you are. Okay, so we're going to go to choosing a topic, and then we'll follow it with outlining, clarifying, up-leveling, and uncommon connections. All right, so choosing a topic. Of all the different topics that you're laying out, which one do you choose? And do I have to come up with multiple topics? Yes, I really, 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 really suggest trying out multiple topics, because everybody's got many stories to tell. There's not just one. And one of them is probably going to be easier to tell a bunch of things about yourself in a way that is both stretchy and unique to you, relatively uncommon. And you're going to have one of those that is a better fit. Or you might have multiple. And the good thing about that is you often will have both a personal statement and significant supplemental essays that you want to be putting forward. So, of the topics that you're thinking of, which one might be the one to pursue for your personal statement? I'm going to play a video in a second, but I want you to know that if it does work, feel free to let me know, by the way, if it's working or not. This link goes to the overall thing, and then this link goes to the montage information, and this link goes to the narrative information. But these two pictographs show what you might be thinking about when you're choosing either a montage topic or a narrative topic. So for montage, you want to think about its elasticity or its stretchiness. How much will you have to say on that particular topic? How many different examples, how many different values could apply? And then you want to think about, that's on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, it's how common is the topic, is the insight, are the values, are the experiences, and the things that are common and not very elastic might be here, and the ones that are more uncommon and more elastic are here. And these right here, the more uncommon and the more elastic, are the topics that are likely to be the better choice. Okay, so you can be thinking about that when you're thinking about your topics. And for the narrative, you want to be thinking about the challenges on the x-axis and the insight or the aha or the analysis of the experience, the sense making of the experience on the y-axis. And things that have meh challenges and meh insight are not as strong choices for topic, and as things that are both high in difficulty or compelling challenge and high in insight. Okay, so that maybe is a helpful picture of choosing. So let's see what Ethan has to say about this. I find his little spiels helpful. So what I'd like you to do is have your slides out so you can have that picture in front of you if you'd like, and have a place to take some notes, okay? Whether it's in your workbook for personal statement workshop, launch your personal statement or personal statement workshop workbook, or on a piece of paper that you write on, or in a doc that you're using to take notes on all of this stuff, I'd like you to go there. All right, so here we go.
So how do you stand out with a montage essay? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to share with you two qualities that I think can help a montage essay stand out a bit more. I'm going to give you a little self-assessment tool to help you determine how likely is your topic to stand out. And then I'm going to share with you a list of some common topics. So 3 quick contextual notes before I jump in. Number 1, this is one of the hardest things to teach. It takes years and lots of reading of essays to determine if a topic is likely to work or likely to not work. I call it like developing your spidey sense as a counselor. Having said that, I'm going to try and teach you in 5 minutes with a quick assessment tool how to develop that spidey sense and have some sense if the topic can work or not. The second thing is that there's no real answer to this because this isn't like a science. Writing personal statements is more of an art, and I actually think that's a good thing. The third thing I want to say is that what I'm about to share with you is subject to my own biases. So this is not what every single college admission counselor thinks. This is just what I believe is true based on my experiences, so take it with a grain of salt. All right, all that said, the 2 qualities that I believe that help a montage essay stand out are, number 1, is it elastic, which I'll explain in a second, and number 2, is it hopefully somewhat uncommon. Now, what do I mean by elastic? By elastic, I'm talking about, is it stretchy enough to talk about lots of different sides of you? Is it something that you know a lot about? For uncommon, I'm asking, is this something that's common in the sense that it's like a typical sport or musical instrument or a mission trip, which are things that lots of students write about? Or is it something that's maybe a little bit more unusual? Now, quick caveat that it is possible to write a great essay with a common topic, but it's just a little bit harder. The thing to note about these 2 qualities is that they're kind of on a spectrum. In other words, it's not like your topic is either like very elastic or definitely elastic or not at all elastic, right? And it's not like your topic is like super uncommon or definitely common, right? You can kind of put these on a spectrum. And you can, in fact, put these on a graph. So if you're a visual learner like me, check out this beautifully hand-drawn thing that I made for you. So check this out. You can put the elasticity, which is to say how stretchy your topic is, how much you know about it, on an x-axis here, with more elastic things here and less elastic topics here. And you can graph how common your topic is based on more uncommon stuff here and more common topics down here. And kind of what we're going for is the more uncommon and more elastic your topic is, the easier I think it's going to be to stand out, and maybe the easier it's going to be to write. Okay. In terms of common and not elastic, if it's really common, it's going to be hard to stand out. If it's not elastic, it's going to be hard to write. So let's do a quick self-assessment. Where do you find yourself with your different topics on this graph? Are you more up here or more down here? If you're not sure, here's a quick assessment tool. So when it comes to determining how elastic your topic is, you can take your values exercise, which you're going to get tired of me talking about, and you can print it out if you want, or just use the link below this video. And on a sheet of paper, I want you to create what I call a jellyfish, which I'll show you in just a second. And at the top, I want you to write your potential topic. So here's how you test for how elastic your topic is. Write your topic in a circle at the top, like I've done here with games. And then underneath it, make these little other circles and see how many values you can connect your topic to in a minute. So I've written games here, and I look at my values list, and I could connect games to leadership. I can connect it to family. I can connect it to social change, vulnerability, a ton of things. Art, fun, physical challenge, laughter. I mean, probably almost all of these things. So games would be a pretty elastic topic for me, so it might be a good college essay topic. Whereas if I picked Australian history, it's probably not a very elastic topic because I don't really know much about it. I'm probably not going to be able to connect to too many values. So take a minute with this, maybe pause the video and try and determine how elastic is your topic? How many values could you connect it to? Now, when it comes to is it common or uncommon, that's one of those things that takes years and you have to read lots of essays to kind of develop. But if you look below this video, you'll see a list that is not exhaustive, which is to say it's not, every topic is there or not there. But you can take a look and see what are some common topics that other students tend to choose. Given this, what should you do?
Second.
Well, if you have a topic that you feel like is pretty elastic, which is like you can connect it to lots of things, and pretty uncommon, that might be a good one. Move on. Start your outlining in the next module.
All right, we will, let's do that, what he suggested, where you make the octopus and you've got your topic, or you try other topics if you want to, and we'll set a minute timer and have you try to connect as many values as you can. I'm going to try to show, there it is. Okay, so I'd like you to try that. Any questions about what we're going to do?
How many values should we aim for each
What does he have? An octopus has 8 legs. Try it. See.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, ready? I mean, as many as you can, right? And if you stop, like you're like, I can't even get to 2, try a new topic, right? Okay. Great question. Any others? Okay, here's your minute timer. Go. Okay, that's our minute. I started a little after you. I got to 6. How did people do? Anybody want to report in on the experience? I chose music, and my first brain was going to like examples of activities that I've had connected to music, which is great because I'm starting to sort of uh, outline the essay. But then I remembered that he was asking me to think about values that are connected to music. Um, exactly. Yes, the values from the values activity. Um, the values from really anywhere, but there's a list of values that we've used in the values activity that you can pull from. And I remembered why he was asking to connect to values is because when you can connect to values in uncommon ways, like what I wrote was music is connected to independence. And I was thinking, maybe not everybody thinks about music as being connected to independence, but for me, it is also connected to strength. It's connected to uh, voice. And by that, I don't mean my own voice. I mean my ability to tell my story. It's also connected to community and to family and to tradition and to faith and to wellness and right. So all sorts of more potentially typical common values, but you're looking for ways to connect your topic to values. Feel free to direct chat me if you don't want a public chat. I would love to hear how that experience went for people. Any questions? I'm gonna keep going, but I'm happy. Ooh, 7 values. Probably could add more. Awesome. So if you're feeling like good about that, then maybe that's a stretchy enough topic, right? If it's got a lot of different things, and we'll do a thing next about commonality or how common something is. Anybody else want to share? Okay, let's see. I think he's saying we're ready to go. Let's just see if there's anything else we want to make sure we.
Years, and you have to read lots of essays to kind of develop. But if you look below this video, you'll see a list that is not
right.
Common topics that other students tend to choose. Okay. Given this, what should you do? Well, if you have a topic that you feel like is pretty elastic, which is like you can connect it to lots of things, and pretty uncommon, that might be a good one. Move on. Start your outlining in the next module. If, however, you feel like this feels like I can't really connect it to a lot of things, or it feels like super cliche a lot of students are going to be writing about, then what you might consider doing is going back to the brainstorming exercises and spending 10 or 15 minutes more, seeing if you can come up with some other ideas. Or you can read through the other montage paths and see if that inspires you. If you've already done the brainstorming exercises, you can click below and you'll see something that says more brainstorming exercises. Click that and do those. Those are really good ones. Finally, if you've got any questions, check out the FAQ below where you'll find some answers.
All right.
Once you've done that,
move on.
Move on to the next module.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Cool. Hold on. I didn't mean to start it. Okay. I wanted to show you a couple things about common, uncommon. Oh, it's doing that thing. There we go. Okay. Okay. This is the topics. Now, I want to add that this was for montage, right? And some of you are leaning towards narrative, which is the challenges and effects and challenges, effects, what I did about it, and what I learned. And so if you're finding yourself really led to that kind of thing, please continue with that. No problem. I just yesterday, we didn't get to spend much time, or you haven't been required to do the feelings and needs exercise, but in your workbook, there is a place to do that feelings and needs exercise for a narrative. And I encourage you to give that a try. Okay. What were the challenges you faced? What were you feeling? What were you needing, etc. Where is he saying about the common, uncommon? Here we go. Here are some, let me see if I can put this in the chat. And again, I'm sharing this with you not to self-censor, but so that you can know, right? Because how are you supposed to know when you're a rising senior in high school what everybody else writes about? Um, and so here are some common personal statement topics. And if you see your topic there, like, okay, that's all right. But what are some uncommon connections you might be able to make or uncommon values? We're going to talk about that next. And here are some potentially less common extracurricular activity topics. Okay, so you got those. Let me know. It might not work, the link, but it was worth a try. Okay, I'm going to go back to our slides. Okay, and okay, so now we were doing about choosing a topic, and now the next step is outlining, right? And so I'm going to give an overview about outlining. We're going to watch a little thing about outlining. Then I'm going to give you some more time to work than we just had in this last one. Okay, so reminder from yesterday's session that we talked about 2 different models for outlining, and ideally we want to do 2 to 3 different possible. And do I really have to? Yes. Okay, so we're going to watch a little video about that. And I would love to get those outlines coming in during our session today or afterwards, okay? Montage, I like to start with the examples first and then the values, but you can also start with the values and then give the examples. I really am very taken with the metaphor of the bracelet or the necklace with the common thread, which is the topic, and then the beads being the examples, and that each bead has a value. I like that model. Challenges and effects, what I did about it, what I learned, and just bullet them out. So those are the outlines we're looking for. Let's see what there is to say about it.
All right, we're about to talk about outlining. And you might be like, yeah, Ethan, I feel like I can just get into my draft. And I want to say, wait, please don't. Don't start writing before you create an awesome outline. In fact, I thought about titling this module something like, why other students mess up by launching into their draft too early and how you cannot be like them, or how outlining can save you tons of time and heartache, or something like that. But instead, just give me 30 seconds to try and convince you that outlining is a good idea. Now, if you're in the boat where you're thinking, I can probably just start writing. Yes, I hear you, and I used to be that way. This is going to save you some time. I can almost promise you. Or if you're feeling like, I really don't know what goes into an outline, don't worry. That's coming up in the next module. Or if you're wondering, well, I don't really even know what a nice outline looks like, that's what I'm going to share with you right now. So here's a nice montage essay outline and the essay that it led to. And if you want, you can find this complete essay in the essence objects or things in my room path. So you'll notice the student starts with a little intro here. My laptop is like a passport. She mentions the stickers being connected to like different sides of her. So in her outline, she talks about the We Heart Design sticker and how that connects to art, design, and experimentation. And she jotted down a quick example. And that example and what it helped do for her ended up turning into her paragraph. Okay, notice she just put the sticker in bold here. In the next little example, she talked about the common thread sticker, which links to the values of authenticity and open-mindedness. And she gave an example of this and a little mini insight. Notice this is not like a super comprehensive outline, but it's good enough to get her to think. It's like really good ideas that she can expand upon in her paragraphs. And each one of these little bullet points connects to a nice solid paragraph. Then at the end, she's got something that kind of wraps it all up. But you'll notice that even in her outline, she's got some of these examples that she ended up just combining into another paragraph. So that might be end up what you're doing. Before you jump into your outline, I want to give you 4 things to look for. Now, these are things that I'm going to talk about later, but I want to just give you kind of this checklist so it's in your mind. Number 1, you're going to need a topic, which is to say like a theme. And you can look through the 7 montage paths to try and brainstorm different ideas. You're going to want to make sure that topic is really clear.
7 montage paths. What he means there is the essay brainstorming exercises. Like I know I love career, home, identity, those kind of paths for writing an essay. Okay.
If it's elastic, connects to different things, different sides of you, great. If it's uncommon, like maybe other students aren't choosing it, even better. Okay. The next thing you're going to need is some examples of your topic, right? If these are visual, we can see them. Awesome. Okay. And if you can think of a variety of them, maybe even more than you would need for your eventual essay, sweet. The third thing is, can you connect these examples to different values, which is to say different sides of who you are, different, motivation, things that drive you. And then the fourth thing, and don't worry too much about this for your outline, but you're going to need some insights, which is to say, so what? So what is each of these examples or experiences or whatever you're doing in each of your paragraphs, what has it taught you? I'll come back to those in the end. For now, we're going to create a pretty simple outline based on whichever path you've chosen. So click below and shoot.
All right. So I'm happy to hear about questions, and then we're going to do a work period about this. What kind of questions do folks have? Okay. Will you set yourself a goal for the next 15 minutes of what you want to do? Something that's measurable, something that's doable, something that you'll be glad you did these next 15 minutes related to doing some outlining of potential topics. If you have already done, then I'd like you to request to meet with me in a breakout room. I'm going to send everybody to their own breakout room, and you just come right back into the main room if you're ready to talk to me or chat me that you'd like to connect, and I'm happy to do that. Okay. All right, you're setting a goal for yourself. Feel free to chat me what your goal is. I'd love to know what your goal is. It helps me know what your goal is. And so I'm gonna assign you to your breakout room, and we want 7 breakout rooms. Okay, go guys.
So do we come back and chat with you after we complete our goal?
You can chat with me anytime during the 15. Yep. Or after, but during, I'm happy. That's what I'm going to be waiting for you to chat with me. Okay. Okay. Oh, good. Are you here?
Hi, yeah. Whenever
Cool.
you
Stop sharing. Go ahead. And
uh
let me pause the recording. Okay, welcome back from some work time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are some people who, right, are not exactly with us anymore, but that's okay. We're so glad everybody's here. Okay, here they all come. I wanted to check in. You can check in privately if you'd like, or check in as a group. I got to talk to a few people, and I've given the go-ahead to do a revised draft or do a revised outline and draft to a few of you, but I didn't get to talk to everybody, and I wanted to let you have that work time. So do you feel like you have lots more to do right now on that outlining, or should we go on to talking about doing some more mini lessons? That's what I was thinking, was to have a half-hour work time and then do another mini lesson so that you don't get lost in what you're doing. Does that sound okay, or do people have feedback? Okay, seeing no feedback, I will go on with my plan, but I am happy for you to give me additional feedback, okay? All right, so you've been outlining, and hopefully you're getting to the point where you've got a few different topics. I really would be very glad to talk through it with you if you're finding that you're ready to do that, or even if you're not ready. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I can sometimes give helpful feedback. I had some people were wavering between narrative and montage, and I was encouraging people to try each of them and see how it plays out. And we saw that with the food essay yesterday. He could have written it like this narrative about his family's journey and divorce and things like that. And he ended up doing the montage about food. But first he needed, you didn't see it, but first he did a narrative and he ended up with montage, and it can go the other way as well. So I'm happy for your feedback. And here we go. We're going to go into what's next. All right. So after you do the outlines and you check it over with somebody and you feel like it's stretchy enough, and maybe don't worry too much about the common or uncommon right now in this first drafting time, because where you're going to get to is that you're going to be able to think about that uncommon common through what kind of insight, what kind of values can you bring to the game. And we're going to talk about that next. But you take that outline and then you just go into a first draft, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And you want to really check with yourself. Try to take that bodyguard and say, okay, bodyguard, you can go sit down in the other room. I'm just gonna draft this out. You want a simple opening. Don't worry about the hook. Don't worry about capturing the reader's attention, all those things that we learn about in English class. Don't worry, just a simple placeholder. Then 4 to 7 paragraphs, either tied to your examples or tied to your challenges and effects, what you did about it, what you learned if you're in narrative, and then just a simple closing. Okay, so that's where you're going to be going. We're going to give you time to do that. But first, I want to do a few different lessons so that we can make sure to get the lessons in, and you can always go back and watch these videos, okay? So let's say you've done a first draft, or you've done a few different outlines, and you want to be thinking about, is this the right topic for me? And you want to clarify your topic. We're going to be thinking about different ways to clarify your topic, and then maybe thinking about whether you need to change your topic. And some of those strategies are to do something called write a log line. And let's see what comes up. Okay, good. I think this link should definitely work. It's not behind a paywall. And a log line is where you write a simple summary, 1 to 3 sentences of your topic, or like of your whole kind of big idea of the essay. And it can really help you clarify what it is that you're trying to do. like in these laptop stickers. An example would be the stickers on my laptop are like a passport that shows where I've been in my life. They represent my creativity, open-mindedness, family, commitment to social justice, and love for entrepreneurship. Excuse me. So if you were to find the laptop sticker essay, you would see that there are sections of the essay. There's a paragraph about creativity, a paragraph about open-mindedness, a paragraph about family, a paragraph about commitment to social justice, and love for entrepreneurship. So that's kind of summing it up in 2 sentences. There's the log line about the that topic. Here is the log line for the essay. That's the one that what had to be done. That was in the first personal statement workshop, and it's in the slides from the personal statement workshop. It's Adrian's work. It's also in our folder. So here's that summary. Growing up, I experienced challenges related to domestic abuse, alcoholism, being undocumented, which led to financial difficulties and increased family responsibilities. These led to my becoming my own teacher, supporting my family financially, and taking on several leadership roles. Ultimately, I learned how much I value autonomy, doing things not because I must, but because I choose to. So, and you can see some more examples of log lines. So if you're looking to clarify what is it that I'm writing about, or what is it that I'm proposing to write about, you could try a log line strategy. That is one. And then another strategy is to bold the topic related words in your draft. So you take your draft, and let's say your topic is curiosity, and you go through and highlight or bold anytime you see a word related to curiosity. Maybe the word inquiry, maybe the word question, maybe the word wondering, maybe the word asked. Okay, so and you see if they are present throughout your draft. Another strategy is to bold the first line of each paragraph or section that you have in your draft and see if it hangs together. And then you look over your work of doing the log line and doing the bolding your topic, bolding your first line, whatever you choose, and think, okay, is this topic the topic I want? Is it stretchy? Do I have a bunch of different values that I can highlight? Can I make my octopus where I've got the topic, and does it connect to a bunch of different legs? If so, great, keep going with it. If not, maybe it's time to change the topic to one of the other things that you outlined, or maybe to something new. And if you're feeling stuck, go ahead and reach out to somebody else in the room. I know some of you shared your contact information. You could do that, friend and family member, or to me. That's why I'm here. This is my job. And we can talk it through together. And then you might need to go, you probably will go to outline 2.0. So even if you've got a draft, then you do this process of thinking, reflecting about your topic. You might end up going back and doing another outline and then doing another draft. And that is totally normal and totally acceptable, and really probably going to lead you to a better essay in the end. Thoughts about that? Questions about that? All right, I'm going to pull up my notes. I might not have given enough wait time though, so feel free to say something, speak up, whatever you'd like. I'm going to give you a chance to try that after we do this one, okay? So this one is another strategy for up-leveling your paragraphs, where we're going to talk about the cliche version of your essay or your topic versus any kind of uncommon connections you can make, okay? So I think we're going to go ahead and watch this video, and then we're going to go back into time where you can have some work time, and we can do some conferencing where I'm going to visit with each person, okay? All right, let's see what Ethan has to say. So we're probably not at this stage yet, but I want you to hear this information because it's like the next step of what you're going to be thinking about. All right.
One of the things I mentioned earlier is that a great montage paragraph has clear, specific visual examples, values that they're connected to, and great insights that surprise us. Now, this lesson is going to focus on those first two things, and montage lesson 3.2 is going to focus on how to bring more insight into your essay. So, pop quiz, what's wrong with this sentence? I want to be a doctor because I'm empathetic, I love helping people, and I really want to make the world a better place. Now, there's nothing wrong with that sentence, but it's actually kind of boring. Why? I think a boring essay chooses a common topic, makes common connections, and uses common language. Whereas a standout essay chooses an uncommon topic, makes uncommon connections, and uses uncommon language. So pause for a second right now and ask yourself, which does my essay fall into? In terms of topic, is it more of a common topic or more of an uncommon topic? Second, what about the connections that you're making? Are those somewhat common? Like, oh, we kind of knew you were going to say that.
Sorry,
or
trying to
are those
pause it.
uncommon?
Hold on.
And then the language, do you notice?
Okay. The thing is, you guys are just starting. So I don't want you to beat yourselves up right now about common or uncommon. I'm just hoping to give you this information and perspective so that you can come back to it later. Okay. And so I know it's pretty tricky that I'm giving you this information now because some of you are just still in the figuring it out, but I'm trying to offer it as a tool to think about on the upfront part. What are the values you're thinking about writing? Okay. And again, many drafts are going to be involved in this. Okay.
That there's anything in your essay that anybody else could have said? Now, I'm not saying you should go and pick some random weird topic just for the sake of picking a random weird topic just to stand out in your essay. A common topic is okay, but the more common your topic is, the more uncommon your connections need to be. And let me explain what I mean by that and how you can generate more uncommon connections. So step one, I want you to try and brainstorm the cliche version of your essay. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say your essay is on why you want to be an engineer. I want you to take a minute to look at the values list, which is below this video, and ask yourself, what would someone else say in their engineering essay?
Okay, so we can't look at that example, but if you have a particular essay, like a home essay or a career essay or an identity essay, or like some people are talking about extracurricular activities or places they go where they feel connected or at home or different parts of their identity, what are the common topics or ideas or connections that somebody might make? That's what you're brainstorming right now. Like, let's see what he has to say.
You might be like, uh-oh. Or take photography, for example. Look at the values list below and go, what would someone else say in their photography essay? Are the values that you're focusing on values that someone else is likely to be focusing on? Either way, I want you to mentally cross out those values in your mind, not because you're definitely not going to put those values in your essay, because step two is I want you to see if you can spend maybe 7 to 10 minutes trying to brainstorm some more uncommon connections, which is to say values that we maybe wouldn't normally associate with your topic, whatever it is. So a quick example, let's say the topic of the essay is cooking, which is a somewhat common topic. And let's say one of the values that you're focusing on is like health or nutrition. Well, probably someone else is going to focus on that value in their cooking essay. What if instead the values that you focused on were like accountability or social change? Now, those might sound kind of weird at first, but that's kind of the game I want you to play right now. I want you to look at that values list and see if you can connect your topic to some values that might be unexpected. And each one of those should connect to some part of you that's actually really important. And the more random at first, the more interesting it's going to be because we're not going to know where that paragraph is headed. So right now, your action item is to look at your values list and see if you can find 3 to 5 uncommon connections and go ahead and write them down in your montage outline 2.0. Now you might be like, oh, I'm gonna have to write some new paragraphs. That's fine. That's actually what I'm gonna encourage you to do as you're going into your next draft. Step 3 is gonna be pretty obvious, but it's to come up with examples that would demonstrate those values. So let's say your essay is about soccer and you've decided you're not gonna necessarily write about teamwork, you're gonna write about listening as a value. Well, what example could help us see listening in your life? Step 4, this is really important. Make sure your examples are specific and, if possible, visual. So rather than just saying listening is important in soccer, well, how? What does that actually look like? So just to give you some specific examples of what listening looks like in soccer, maybe you talk about that moment in the corner kick when you're leaning forward and everything sort of pauses and slows down and everyone's waiting for that moment. And maybe you talk about, leaning against your opponent, but you want to lean against them a little bit, but not so much that you foul them. So you're listening kind of with your whole body. So what does listening really look like in your life when it comes to soccer or whatever you're writing about? Remember, get visual. Imagine snapshots of this or like a little scene in a mini movie. Now, this is going to be especially important if you're writing about a common topic. Those uncommon connections and phrasing them in uncommon ways, which is to say uncommon language, is what's going to be key to help you standing out. Okay, so pause the video right now. See if you can come up with some uncommon connections, which is to say uncommon values, and see if you can come up with specific visual examples for each one. Do this now. And once you've done this, then you can click continue.
Stop. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So first thing is to spend 2 minutes brainstorming a cliche version of your topic or your essay, okay? So if you haven't already done that, I'm going to give you 1 more minute to do that, thinking about what would be the average person's way of thinking about your topic. Make a list of those things right now. Go. All right. Okay. So feel free to put those in the chat. What were some of the ones that were common that you thought might come up about yours? And what I'd like you to do is, if you've got the values list in front of you, or if you've got that list in front of you, just sort of like at least in your mind, cross out those pretty common values and associations and see if you can brainstorm some uncommon connections. Like he mentioned cooking and accountability and social change, or cultural identity. You might want to surprise us with some other unexpected things, like independence, or all sorts of things. I need my values list in front of me. If you don't have it in front of you, you pull it up and I'll get mine too. And so what I'm going to do is put the values list on the screen, and I'm going to give us a 4-minute timer. And I'd like you to do that, brainstorming what are some uncommon connections, okay? So I'm going to mute, I'm going to set a timer, I'm going to pull up the values list, and you look at that or look at yours and see if you can find some uncommon ways to connect your topic to values. Here are some of the values you can see. All right. I would love to see some chatter in the chat about some uncommon connections that you are making. I saw some talking about an experience of going away to a summer place and connecting that instead of to like loneliness or fear of fitting in to intuition, vulnerability, belonging, purpose, growth. Anybody else have some examples? Okay. Okay, well, I know that I'm hoping that you have been taking little breaks as you need them. Um, and that project is how to make some uncommon connections. And we talked about how to up level some things, how to change your topic, how to focus your log line, how to focus your topic. And we can talk some more in future sessions about how to up level your paragraphs. So what I'd like to do for this next work block, about 45, 50 minutes, is take a stretch break and come back to the table. And I'd like to conference with each one of you about where you are during that period. So I'd like you to set yourself some SMART goals. let's see, stop share. So I'd like you to set some SMART goals for yourself, what you're going to work on during this time. This is the best chunk you're going to get and the best chance to conference with me about where you are, where you're going with your outlining and your first drafting, and re-outlining if you want to, and re-first drafting if you can get that done. It doesn't have to take a long time, this work. If you're focused and you're clarified, it can go quickly, but it's also okay if you're feeling stuck, just reach out, okay? Because you can do this. Try to remember in the slides, you've got some templates of outlines, you've got templates of first drafts. You can go back there and just follow that that model, and one step at a time, you will get there. Okay, so could I have some feedback, please, about whether the breakout rooms is the best way to go, or whether I should have a breakout room and you come and meet with me? I've been liking it just fine, but I'm happy for other ideas since you guys are the online school specialists. Okay, I might be in a room all by myself. Thank you for the feedback. Sounds like breakout rooms is working. So what I'm gonna do is put you back in some workout rooms, and I'd like you to right now set yourself a goal for a 10 to 15 minute chunk of something that you're going to press to do. Then you're going to, and you can take your break before you start that, that's fine. And then do your chunk, and then so set yourself a timer. After you've done that chunk, do a little movement, give yourself a little 1 or 2 minute break, and then set another time period to work, and again until I'm with you or I'm wrapping up. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, and hopefully you're gonna get to a first draft by the end of this time. All right. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Wow, you're putting in a lot of work. I'm really excited about all the different topics and directions that people are going. Some people have got a narrative going on, some people have got montage going on. I'm happy if you want to chat with each other and share where you are and what your topic is. I think people could celebrate together if you'd like. I appreciate that this is hard work and it's challenging for your brain, and you probably need to go run around a little bit and get yourself some food. And if you can, turn back to this exercise between now and next time we meet. I would love it if people had either a fleshed out outline that they feel really good about that they send my way, or a first rough draft by the next time we meet. On Thursday, we'll have, it's just day 4, we'll have some time to work on personal statements, but we also need to turn our attention to supplemental essays. And so for that, you're going to need to have your counsel more available, and at least, whatever schools you probably really will apply to. You might still feel very undecided about your whole list overall, but thinking about a few of the schools you're applying to, we're going to talk about the extra essays that people ask for and what's involved with putting those together and researching those. And we'll give you time to make a supplemental essay tracker and begin working on at least one of those. And then on Friday, we'll have a little more work time for supplemental essays, but not actually that much. We're going to work on interview skills and how to set up an interview. And we're going to also have the panel with the college going young people. So if you really want to get to the end of the week with a draft of your personal statement, I would really recommend today putting as much in as you possibly can, or tomorrow before we meet. And feel free to send it to me. I'm hoping to be able to give as much feedback as possible. I do have, other things going on, but that's my commitment, is to get you guys good feedback this week. Okay, and so I think the big thing for me is moving forward with this personal statement. I would do that over other things, unless you haven't gotten anywhere near finished doing, like if you haven't done brainstorming exercises and you're feeling yourself getting stuck, I would go back and look at some of those brainstorming exercises, try a new one. Try one, there's one further in the workbook, I think, called 21 Details, or there's one called 10 Things I Want Colleges to Know About Me. Those might be brainstorming exercises that could really help. So going back to brainstorming, or looking at your BBs, like what are the things I've done? What are the values? What are the problems I've solved? What are the lessons I've learned? Making sure those things show up, somewhere in your themes, in your personal statement. It doesn't have to be, I don't want it to be all about every activity you've done, but there are probably big ideas that are coming up there. And then in this link is a copy of How to Revise Your Essay in 5 Steps, which are similar to that log line and bolding words and bolding the first sentence of each paragraph, those kinds of things. So I commend those strategies to you. And if you're somehow all the way done, or you're just super curious and you want to get a jump on it, you could also be looking into the supplemental essays stuff. I guess another thing is you could be working on your LinkedIn profile or your resume. Those are all things that would count for moving your college application forward this week. I am looking forward to tomorrow. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up today? I'm going to stop the sharing of that thing. What do we have in the chat? Awesome. Yes, I am super happy to have to look over things, and I can even spend the rest of this time. I'm going to stay on here, but if we can be officially closed, thank you so much. This is the end of day 3 of 5. I can't wait to see you back tomorrow. The supplemental essays are absolutely key and totally different from the personal statement. So I look forward to meeting with you about that then. And if you are listening to this and you are a person who has a bunch of UC applications, University of California applications, I reached out to you via email, and I was hoping to set a time to have a University of California workshop. And so if you could get back to me about that, that would be awesome. All right, I'm going to stop the recording and I'll stick around to chat.